Hey, what's up, everybody? It's about, well, it's Tennessee. I don't know right now. I actually don't want to really say so. um, anyway, I thought I'd come on here because, yeah, in case you guys didn't see it today, in case you guys didn't see it, um, yeah, Megabeatman, known as Megabeatman's True Blue Reviews here on YouTube, where he reviews Sonic comics and even Mega Man comics, recently did a review of the recent issue of the IDW run of Sonic, which was issue 8. It is the official, I should say, excuse me there. It is the official um, debut here of a new character called Whisper the Wolf. Now, you might say to yourself, why is that such a big deal? It's a new character. It's a new comic exclusive character. And the reason I bring this up is I think, honestly, how do I put this? IDW, Ian Flynn, we get it. We totally get it. Okay? We get it. I mean, the moment this character was introduced, I think a lot of fans started to have this suspicion thrown upon them. And that suspicion, mind you, that suspicion was that along with Tangle, the lemur, and now Whisper the wolf, unless something changes, and hopefully it does by next year, right now, this is your IDW equivalent of Sally Acorn and Bunnie Rabbot. I know, sounds kind of strange to make that comparison, but it's true. It's very much true. I mean, come on, when you think about it, it's obvious. I mean, here you have these two new characters who just happen to be female, nothing against that, no offense, but happen to be female, and both somewhat, seems to me, have designs similar in a sense to two other female characters that we know of. When you look at Tangle, you might say, I don't see that. I think a lot of us do with the round face. In the eyes, the way they're designed. I don't think you can hide that. And then when you look at Whisper, you're looking at a character that has a special, doesn't have a mechanical arm, but has a special weapon that changes color, that allows her mask, or the eyepiece in her mask, to change color when she deciding on what wisp she uses. And as crazy as this comparison sounds, it's similar to how Bunnie Rabbot's arms would change or have different powers equipped with them. IDW, Ian Flynn, with all due respect, you're not fooling me. You're not fooling anybody. Unless you plan to bring the freedom fighters in like everybody's hoping you will, if this is your answer to saying, hey, look, we got two characters that are similar, that ain't going to go over well. It isn't. And, when you look at Whisper, there's something else that stood out to me. When we saw her open her eyes, because one thing Matt, Megabeatman, brought up was the fact that she was opening her eyes. Her eyes are only open like once or twice, three times, and they're always kind of closed like this. They're kind of closed, or it's kind of like in a whisper kind of state. But when they open up, you can see something there. And what I see is eye designs similar to Bunnie's. But that's not all. I also see mascara, if you will, on Whisper. Gee, what other female Sonic protagonist besides Rouge that's a comic exclusive character or was a Saturday morning exclusive character had eyeshadow on her eyes? I'm just saying. It just feels too ironic for me not to point out, guys. It just feels too ironic for me not to point out. I mean, seriously. IDW. Ian Flynn, who do you guys think you're fooling? You're not fooling anybody. I mean, people can pretty much see what you're doing. Like I said, people can pretty much see what you're doing. And again, it's like who are you trying to fool? It's like who are you trying to fool? Obviously, you're not trying to fool me. You're not trying to fool anybody else, but who are you trying to fool? I mean, look. Again, I have nothing against the characters. I don't. But when you basically have characteristics somewhat ingrained into these new characters that almost are identical to characters people know and even love, it's like, who are you trying to fool? Who are you guys trying to fool? You're not fooling me. You're not fooling me. You're not fooling, anybody else. I mean, seriously. It's like, who are you trying to fool? Again, who are you trying to fool? And then this upcoming story arc, the Battle for Angel Island. I mean, just the cover art for the upcoming issues, it's similar to what you had for Worlds Unite, between this crossover between Sonic and Mega Man, and if not identical or similar to, oh, I don't know, those back there. I haven't even read the comic, and I feel that same vibe from that coming from this upcoming story arc, and it just feels identical. Too similar. I mean, why do you think your comic, this interpretation of Sonic, went from this isn't going straight down to this? Maybe slowly, but coming straight towards it. And you have a freaking movie coming out next year, and yet one of the media adaptations of Sonic is slowly declining, and it's supposed to be the newest one because you guys are doing stuff that's been done already in the Archie book. I mean, yeah, you might throw in a character saying a word that they didn't say in the book before, like crap or whatever. I mean, truth is, IDW comics in publication were always meant for older readers. And yeah, you can throw in things like that, like having Silver say, oh crap, and whatever, but still, the point is, we as fans are not fooled into what's going on here. We see the identicalness when it comes to Tangle and Whisper. We see that. You know, we see that situation. I mean, what's next? Are we going to have a character that's similar to Antoine? Or are you putting Silver in Antoine's place because, oh, I don't know, because of what Megabeatman Matt said in his review, let the shipping begin between Silver and Whisper. But again, when you look at Whisper's face, and again, nothing against these new characters, they're probably going to be great characters. But when you look at the design, the roundness of Tangle's face, the eyes of Tangle, you take a look at sort of the shape of Whisper's face in some parts, as well as you look at how her eyes are, and then the eyeshadow. It's too ironic. And then the fact that she has a weapon that changes color depending on the power she uses. The point is, excuse me, the point is, it's too similar to these characters of Sally Acorn and Bunnie Rabbot. You know, people might come out and say, well, it's not that, that's not that much of a similarity, Brian. You know, there's different personality stuff. Okay, you might have a few personality twerks here and there, but it's still identical. And if that's not enough, according to a lot of people, you pretty much took some of Sally's personality and put it in Amy. And again, I have nothing against you wanting to make Amy more of a straight woman, straight man-like character. I have nothing against that. You know, nothing against that whatsoever. Again, like I said, nothing against that ever. But the thing is, folks, IDW, Ian Flynn, it's just too ironic what you're doing here. I mean, you're already doing a battle arc already in the early portions of the comic, when you're supposed to say something like that for maybe I don't know, the 25th comic, or leading into it, or maybe the 50th comic if you get to that, or leading into it. That's when you're supposed to save a big battle issue or a big battle story arc, not before you hit freaking issue 10. But you know why you're doing it? You know why you're doing this? It's because you probably realize fans see exactly through you. And is this honestly what you want? A decline in the book because fans see the identicalness or eerie identicalness of Tangle to Sally and Whisper to Bunnie? I mean, there might be differences, in some areas, but you could see it. I mean, come on. It's like someone trying to pass off, I don't know, how do I put this? It's like somebody trying to pass this off as a phone, as your original phone, and you know what your original phone looks like. And that's not a phone, that's a digital recorder, but you get my point. But you know what yours looks like. You know what the original looks like. It's like someone passing off. I mean, heck, I remember getting something from I remember my family finding something that looked identical to an iPod and passing it off as such, and it wasn't. It was not an iPod. It was just a third-hand, secondary, whatever kind of third-party interpretation. You know what an iPod looks like, and the one I saw was not a freaking iPod. It was a knockoff. And I'm not saying, and the thing is, that's how people are looking at Tangled, and now they're going to look at Whisper as being basically original IDW knockoffs or versions or interpretations of two characters they already know. All I could say is this. As I try to finish here for a second. All I'm trying to say here is we could see what you're doing. We could tell what you're doing. And you guys ain't fooling anybody. I mean, look, these characters might be new. They might have different personalities somewhat. But pretty much when you look at how they're designed and everything, you look at the little traits here and there, especially if you're a longtime fan, you could pretty much see exactly who they're based off or who they're supposed to be this comic books or this comic publisher's version of. It's too ironic. It's just too ironic, and you're not fooling anybody. These characters might be great characters in the long run, but unless you find a way to definitely differentiate them from who they basically are adapted from and pretty much are this comic's interpretation of, unless you find a way to really differentiate them from that, fans are going to pretty much point at Tangle and say, oh, that's just IDW's Sally Acorn. They're going to point at Whisper and go like, oh, that's IDW's Bunnie Rabbot. That's all they're going to see. They're not going to see original characters. Again, you might throw in a few traits here and there to say, oh, these characters are new. These characters are original. But it's not going to pass that test. It isn't. And you guys know that. You guys at IDW and who are working on this comic, you know that. So what you need to do and I'm just suggesting this as a longtime fan. You want to differentiate these characters. You want to make them popular with the fans. And then give them, and basically, what's the saying? Softly retcon them somehow. Make it to where, they're not so similar or are basically going to be identified as being this comic's version of Bunnie Rabbot and Sally Acorn, and vice versa. Because if you don't, that's what fans are going to look at. And then, again, if you're going to plan on doing these big story arcs like Battle for Angel Island, save it for the anniversary issues if you get to that. This is way. Think about it. Battle for Angel Island, Panic in the Sky. I think it's way too soon to do a Battle of Angel Island. You have a similar cover scheme, similar to what you had in the Archie comics, with this and Worlds Unite. I think it's way too soon, and you guys definitely, and I mean this, definitely need to switch things up. You want this comic to succeed in time for the movie, when it comes in time to help co-promote it with the movie, and maybe do a comic book movie adaptation comic, in 2019. Then you need to start changing things up. And most importantly, you want people to really get into this comic. If you want people to really enjoy this comic, start bringing in the freedom fighters. Bring them in. Stop bringing them in. If you have to do it one by one or as in a group, just do it. If you have to start out with a silhouette of each character or the group of characters, but the silhouettes are identical to who we know they are, then so be it. Bring them in. That way, if you have to have Tangle interact with any other comic exclusive characters or established characters, you could put the whole Tangle as IDW's answer to Sally Acorn to rest, because you can have her interact with Sally. The same with Whisper. You could have the whole Whisper is IDW's interpretation of Bunnie. You have her interact with Bunnie, put that to rest. And I guarantee if you bring those characters into the IDW comic, and especially with the fact that you have someone that's worked on Sega Team, currently on the Sega Team portion of Sonic, that speaks highly of them. I can't really speak his name. I can't really say what it I can't really say what his name is, but he's a high person in the Sonic Sega Team of Japan and America. If he's talking highly of the characters, then you need to bring these characters in. It's pretty much it's a done deal when you think about it, guys. Pretty much a done deal that you need to bring these characters in, and you need to bring them in before that movie gets ready to be released in theaters. Because here's the thing. Like I said, you want to do an interpretation, you want to do an adaptation of the Sonic movie in comic form, and you want a lot of people to read it, bring in the Freedom Fighters in the regular issues, and I guarantee you will have people wanting to pick up those issues as well as the comic book adaptation of the movie almost immediately. Because what's going to happen, I am asking you right now, what's going to happen if, even by cameo chance, I don't know, we have the Freedom Fighters show up in the movie? I'm just saying. Just saying. But what I'm trying to get at, guys, in IDW, if you're listening, please listen to what the fans are saying. Listen to the criticism. Hear what they're saying. And if they're telling you they know exactly what these two characters represent and who they're supposed to be the IDW versions of, you got to figure out a way to change them up so they're not so identical, and that's not the case. Or you need to bring the Freedom Fighters in, have these two characters interact with the characters that people pretty much say the IDW knockoffs of, and put it to rest. And like I said, if you want people to read the comic, you need to stop bringing in those Freedom Fighters immediately. Bring them in, silhouette them, build up to the IDW debut. Do what you got to do. Just do it. Because again, if you want people to read a comic book adaptation of the movie that comes out next year, best idea is start bringing in characters they want to see in the comics. And once that happens, you'll be surprised at how many more new subscribers are going to want to read the comics and how many people are going to want to pick up a comic book adaptation of the movie. Because like I said, what if, God willing, maybe we get a cameo by the Freedom Fighters in the movie? Just saying. I'm just saying, IDW, you might want to start thinking about what you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? you might want to start thinking about what you're going to do when it comes to this comic, because honestly, not a lot of people are currently thrilled with what you're doing. I mean, they liked it at first because, hey, Sonic's staying in comic book form, one of his most popular media adaptations. But if you keep doing stuff like this, you keep doing it, where pretty much characters like Whisper and Tangle are basically IDW interpretations or knockoffs, as people might look at them, or whatever, of Bunnie and Sally, you're not going to fool anybody anymore. And again, it's way too soon to do a storyline similar, if you will, to Panic in the Sky. It's too similar. It's too soon. And you're doing that with Battle of Angel Island, and the only reason you're doing it because you know viewership is down, readership is down, because you're doing things the way people don't want you to do them, and you're bringing in characters that are freaking identical somewhat, or basically the IDW answer to established characters that fans want to see, and that you should have just brought in the first place. But who knows? All I'm saying here is IDW, Ian Flynn, and anybody else that works on the IDW Sonic comic, you're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody. And all I'm asking of you, as a fan, a longtime fan, and someone that wants to give these comics a chance, please get your act together. Find a way to differentiate Tangle and Whisper from being basically the IDW interpretation of Sally and Bunnie, as well as work on bringing those characters, the Freedom Fighters, Bunnie, Sally, Anton, Rotor, you name it, Dulcie, Lupe, into the comic, so that you can have maybe an interaction and you can put the whole thing to rest. And I'm going to say this about Battle of Angel Island. I don't know how many issues this is going to be, but this better be the last battle-like arc you have for a while, because again, it's way too soon after Panic in the Sky, and that's the truth. So that's all I'm going to say, guys. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Let me know what you all think down below. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear from you. And I will talk to y'all later. Thank you all for watching live, taking the time to watch live. Comment down in the comment section below. And I am out. Peace out. God bless.